The room was quiet except for the soft ticking of an old wall clock and the faint hum of rain tapping against the windows. Daniel's hands froze in mid-motion the moment he heard the whisper behind him. His heart skipped so suddenly that it felt like the air had been knocked out of his chest. He had only been trying to help, only trying to ease someone else's pain. But the words she murmured in that fragile, trembling voice carried a weight he never expected. In that moment, the past, the grief, the sacrifices, and the quiet loneliness of his life as a single father all seemed to collide at once. And before we step into Daniel's story, take a second to support the channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of people helping one another through life's hardest moments, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder that compassion still exists in the world, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel The Kindness Chronicles. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. Daniel Carter had never imagined his life would turn out the way it did. At 34, he carried responsibilities that most people his age were still learning how to navigate. He woke before sunrise every day, prepared breakfast for his 7-year-old daughter Lily, packed her lunch, and drove her to school before heading to his job at a small physical therapy clinic across town. His evenings were filled with homework, dinner, laundry, and quiet bedtime stories that he read softly until Lily drifted off to sleep. There had once been another person in that routine. Lily's mother, Emma, had been the heart of their home. She was the kind of person who laughed easily, who made even the smallest apartment feel warm and alive. But 3 years earlier, a sudden illness had taken her away in a matter of weeks, leaving Daniel standing in the hospital hallway with a child's small hand in his and a silence that never quite left him. The world had not stopped for his grief. Bills still needed to be paid. Lily still needed someone to braid her hair before school and kiss her scraped knees when she fell. So Daniel did what he had always done in difficult moments. He kept moving forward. He became both mother and father, teacher and protector, comfort and stability. Through all of it, one person had stayed by his side like a brother. Mark Reynolds had been Daniel's best friend since high school. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, played basketball on the same cracked courts, and dreamed about the same uncertain futures. When Emma died, Mark was the one who brought groceries without asking, who fixed the broken sink in Daniel's kitchen, who sat quietly on the couch during long evenings when words were too heavy to speak. But life had its own strange timing. About 6 months before the moment that would change everything, Mark received a job opportunity overseas that he simply could not refuse. It was a chance to build a better life, and Daniel encouraged him to take it, even though it meant losing the closest support he had. Before leaving, Mark asked Daniel for one favor. His younger sister, Sophia, had recently moved to the city for graduate school. She didn't know many people there, and Mark worried about her adjusting alone. He asked Daniel to check in on her occasionally, just to make sure she was doing all right. Daniel agreed without hesitation. Helping people had always been part of who he was. Sophia Reynolds was very different from her brother. Where Mark was loud and outgoing, Sophia was quiet and thoughtful. She had gentle eyes that carried a kind of quiet strength, as though she had learned early in life how to observe the world carefully before stepping into it. When Daniel first met her, she had just moved into a small apartment near the university. The place was filled with half-unpacked boxes and stacks of textbooks. She thanked him politely for helping her carry a heavy bookshelf up the narrow staircase, and over time their occasional check-ins slowly turned into brief conversations, cups of coffee, and the kind of comfortable familiarity that grows when two people simply try to be kind to each other. Daniel never thought much about it. His life was too full of responsibilities to think about anything beyond work and Lily. But Sophia noticed things about him that others often missed. She saw the exhaustion behind his gentle smile when he picked Lily up from school after a long shift. She saw the way he always made sure his daughter had the best of everything, even if it meant he went without. She saw the quiet loneliness in his eyes during moments when he thought no one was looking. Months passed like this. One evening, Sophia arrived at Daniel's clinic looking unusually pale. She had been studying for hours at the university library and had developed severe pain in her shoulder and neck from long nights hunched over her laptop. Daniel, being a trained physical therapy assistant, offered to help relieve the tension. It was a simple act of kindness. He asked her to sit comfortably while he worked carefully to ease the tight muscles around her shoulders. The clinic was nearly empty that evening, the soft glow of fluorescent lights reflecting off the polished floors. Outside, rain tapped steadily against the windows. Daniel focused only on the task at hand, his movements professional and gentle. He had helped hundreds of patients before, and this was no different. But then it happened. As his hands slowly released the tightness in her shoulders, Sophia's breathing steadied. The tension in her body seemed to melt away. For a moment, the room felt almost peaceful. And then she whispered something so quietly that Daniel almost thought he had imagined it. Her voice carried a fragile weight that seemed to tremble between relief and fear. The words slipped out softly, as though they had been trapped inside her for far too long. She confessed that she had not come to the clinic that evening because of shoulder pain alone. She had come because she felt lost. Because she had been watching Daniel for months and had seen the kind of man he was. A man who carried pain quietly but still chose kindness every single day. She admitted that his strength, his patience, and the love he showed his daughter had slowly begun to change the way she saw the world. Daniel froze. His hands hovered in the air as the meaning of her words settled into the silence between them. For years, he had lived with the belief that his life was already decided. That his role was simply to work hard, raise Lily well, and carry the memories of the past quietly in his heart. Love, companionship, or the possibility of starting again had never even entered his mind. But hearing Sophia's vulnerable confession made something shift inside him. Not because it was romantic in a dramatic sense, but because it revealed something deeper. It reminded him that even after loss, even after years of grief and responsibility, life still had the power to surprise him. The rain outside grew heavier as the moment stretched between them. Daniel slowly stepped back, his mind racing with thoughts and emotions he had not felt in years. He thought about Emma. He thought about Lily. He thought about the fragile balance of the life he had built. And yet, he also thought about something he had forgotten. Hope. Over the following weeks, nothing happened quickly. There were no dramatic confessions or sweeping gestures. Instead, something far more real began to grow. Sophia continued visiting Lily and helping with her homework. She sometimes brought homemade meals when Daniel worked late. She laughed with Lily during movie nights and quietly helped Daniel fix small things around the apartment. Slowly, Lily began to smile more. Daniel noticed that the home that once felt quiet and heavy with memory was beginning to feel warm again. One evening, while watching Lily fall asleep after a long day, Daniel realized something that both frightened and comforted him. Life had not replaced what he lost. But it had gently made space for something new. Months later, when Mark returned to visit from overseas, he saw something in his sister's eyes that made him smile immediately. He also saw something different in Daniel. Not guilt. Not hesitation. But peace. The kind that only comes when people allow themselves to heal. And the whisper that once left Daniel frozen had quietly become the beginning of a new chapter. Now, before this story comes to a close, we want to hear from you. If Daniel's journey touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in compassion and second chances, and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles so we can continue bringing you stories that remind us how powerful kindness truly is.